This is the KTM 250 Adventure. Looks a lot like the 390 Adventure because it borrows heavily from it, with a few notable exceptions. Like this one gets a halogen headlamp in place of the LED headlight on the 390 Adventure. The handlebar is steel, not aluminium. The console is LCD, not TFT. And of course, the engine is the 248cc unit from the Duke 250. Pumps out the same 30 PS and 24 Nm of torque. Has the same exact gear ratios. And all this power is put to the ground using the traditional mechanical throttle, unlike the ride-by-wire system on the 390 Adventure. Which also means you miss out on the traction control, the cornering ABS, and even the quick shifter. But what you do get is the same framework, the same chassis as on the 390 Adventure, which includes this 14.5 litre tank. You have a 19-inch front and an 18-inch rear. You get long travel WP suspension at the front and the back. You have the same potent braking unit. You have the tall 855 mm seat height, and the entire package is again 177 kgs, the same as the 390 Adventure. So we are looking at components which transform the Duke 250 platform into a much more capable long-distance tourer. The ergonomics are nice and upright. There's a lot of room for you to move around. The seat can do with a little more padding, but is wide and flat to comfortably accommodate a pillion or mount your luggage with the help of the large grab rails. The gearbox is slick, as you would expect. The long travel suspension offers really good ride quality after you dial in the preload. The 14.5 litre tank offers a solid 400 kilometers range, and the twin fan setup does a fantastic job of keeping the heat in check. You also have a 12-volt socket for charging and an adjustable windscreen to reduce the wind blast. The weakest part of this entire package, surprisingly, proved to be the engine. I'm not sure if it's just this particular bike, but the vibes started creeping in as early as 6,000 RPM and continue to rise from the pegs onto the handlebar as the revs climb, thereby restricting the effortless cruising speed to a modest 120 km per hour, even though the bike can clearly go much faster. And then that begged me to reconsider the price tag that the 250 Adventure commands, which is 2.48 lakhs. That's 40,000 rupees more than the Duke 250. It's only 10,000 short of the Duke 390. And there are also other really good touring options, including both the Dominars, which are just as capable on the road and which also cost a whole lot less. But that was before we got off the beaten track. This is where the 250 Adventure really starts coming into its own. Places where the other touring options start coming undone. Places which justify the low seat height that you sacrifice for more ground clearance. Places where you can fully utilize the off-road ABS. The 250, just like the 390 Adventure, is a hoot to ride off-road and is plenty capable. I love how this feels when you're standing up and riding. I love the ergonomics. I love the balance, how sure-footed it feels even on these road bias MRF tires. And on this technical terrain is also where you will appreciate its low weight, especially on a motorcycle with such a high seat height. I also love how light and easy the clutch is to operate, which comes really handy when you're climbing up really steep climbs. And that is something which you will have to get used to. Feathering the clutch, because just like the 390, this one has absolutely no low end and also makes much less torque. But here's the good part. The gear ratios on this as compared to a 390 are a lot more equally spaced out, which gives you the room to play around with more aggressive sprocket kits without making the bike and the engine a little too edgy. Also on the suspension front, these are exactly the same as the 390 Adventure, and the only adjustability which you get is rear preload. But as long as you're riding at a pace which doesn't see you testing the limits of the alloys and the suspension, this actually has the makings of a really good off-road companion, thereby living to its adventure tag. And that's how KTM justifies its 2.48 lakh price tag. Now don't get me wrong, this is a far cry from all the value for money motorcycles that we have come to expect from KTM. But this definitely offers better equipment and technology compared to its closest competitor in this adventure space, which is the Royal Enfield Himalayan. Now Himalayan is undoubtedly a lot more capable off-road with its 21-inch spoke rims, longer suspension travel, more ground clearance, and of course more grunt lower down. But if you look at this space of motorcyclists who are new to off-road and are looking for a motorcycle, an all-round motorcycle which is also easy to ride, I think the 250 Adventure definitely makes for a strong alternative.